All right, I think we should be live. Yes. Let me double check. Yep. Okay, we're streaming. Okay, cool. So I am joined today by Andrew from We Are Rizin and Deep Jewels fighter Anouk to talk about this week's Deep Jewels 4 card, Deep Jewels 40. I'm sorry, I can hear myself in the echo and it's driving me crazy. Technical difficulties. Oh, can you guys hear that? Is that coming from someone else's?
I don't think so. How do I sound?
I hear nothing, so maybe it's coming from me.
Okay.
Should I let me go find my?
You sound fine.
Is it, yeah, I don't know if the echo is coming from me because I'm not using any earbuds. Let me just get some in just in case.
If you think it's coming from your end, CJ, just you should just like mute your audio or like turn off your audio or something like that. Fiddle of your audio, and then it should go back to normal.
I think it was me. I'm fine now. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. So how you doing, Anouk? How's the rehab on the knee going?
The knee is going very well. I've been starting partner training 2 weeks ago. That's been like a year and 3 months, which is incredible if you think about it that way. But my knee's been doing pretty good. No sparring yet, but we're slowly getting there.
Perfect. And what's like the time frame, do you think?
Something optimistic. I would say about another month before I can start some form of sparring slowly with like light opponents. If things are going well, then the next month I might be able to do wrestling as well. And then the month after, if everything goes, this is like optimistic scenario, then I'll be back to sparring. So yeah, I'm not gonna. The thing is, I shouldn't put a time frame to it because if you hurry it, it's gonna get worse. But like, optimistically speaking, I'm hoping that I might be able to fight in like May or something. That would be great.
Well, that would be great. Yeah, Deep usually has a show around then too, so that'd be perfect.
Yeah. I know the show dates already, so like that's why I'm.
Oh,
if I can join the May one, that would be great.
Interesting. And Andrew, weren't you planning a trip to Japan around that time?
Possibly around May. I was thinking about it, and like I already traveled to London during December, and I was like, you know what, I gotta stop traveling during like cold weather. So I maybe May or June, something like that, when it's like not unbearable. Actually, June might be unbearable. Maybe April or May. I'll say April or May. Maybe Japan. Yeah,
that'd be great. You should definitely check out a show if you can while you're in town. And it's probably annoying for you because they don't announce their dates till like a month in advance almost.
Oh, so, because I was looking at like the pro wrestling. So the one thing I know is that Noah would be having a show at Ryogoku during Golden Week, but that's like early May, and I don't think I could come to Japan. I don't know if I'll be able to make it in time. So like when I say April, I'm talking like maybe late April, but I was also hoping to visit Thailand at that time. So like do Thailand first, then Japan. So I'm not 100% sure. Like I could even I would be able to make like early May in Japan, maybe like realistically, maybe mid-May. So yeah, and no Rizin shows as well. Nothing till April, surprisingly. Yeah. So like I have no idea what's going on in May. Besides this one deep show you talked about in the Pro Wrestling Noah that's going on.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, if you come out, you got to stop by and say hi.
If you bring the Strong Zero, I will be there. I will get there as fast as possible.
Is it like ET? I just leave some Strong Zeros outside and
that's
lure
me.
you into my house.
That would be me, yes. Or if you ever seen Family Guy, the James Woods thing, where like, ooh, a piece of candy. blue piece of candy.
Yeah,
I would be,
yeah.
oh, strong zero. Oh, strong zero. Oh, strong zero.
Yeah. Did awesome segue skills. Did you guys happen to catch any of the Black Combat show that happened?
Yep.
What do you think about it, Andrew?
I hope J Wolf doesn't turn into this, but I thought it was better than Bellator versus Rizin by like 5,000 light years. I was actually watching it in the theater while I was so I went to go see Volk versus Islam in the movie theater. And so I was just like, you know what, maybe we just like watch Blackpool Combat. I'm calling it Blackpool Combat, by the way, because there's a group in AEW Pro Wrestling called Blackpool Combat. So whenever that's why I call them Blackpool Combat, even though I know that's not the thing. It's just called Black Combat, I think.
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now my understanding is that this was in a movie theater. They were showing this live in a movie theater.
No, so for the background, it's kind of cool. So it was started by like a YouTube influencer guy who his real name is known, but he doesn't like broadcast it. He's like only goes by the Godfather. But so the way it worked was they did the public weigh-ins at a movie theater, which I thought was hilarious because you could see people like sitting in the recliner chairs with popcorn and sodas, like watching the weigh-ins. But the fight itself actually happened at like a really nice convention center, like just like an hour outside of Seoul. But if you wanted to watch the fights live and you couldn't go to the show, the only way you could do that was to go to that movie theater chain. And that movie theater chain showed it live throughout like different movie theaters throughout the country. And when asked about it, I read an interview. He actually said it was kind of interesting because he's like, he wants to grow MMA in Korea. And he felt like if he made it widely available on pay-per-view, he wouldn't be able to pack the venue like he did for the show. So he wants to pack the house, sell as many tickets for in person, and then he'll develop more of a streaming service. But he did say they are working on an app so that people can watch it outside of Japan. Because I think they got a lot of messages from Japanese people like wondering how they could watch it live. And so he did say they're working on something for that. So it seems like he has an interesting game plan. I thought the production value was really good.
Oh, I thought it was amazing. Well, I think I don't have a lot of good camera tech knowledge, but they must have used like a 4K almost film or movie like or what they use to film movies type camera, because it was such high quality and just it looked different than like what the typicals like ESPN or Bima use for their thing. So yeah, I don't know. They went. This looked better than Bellator. This is gonna be the I'm gonna crap on the Bellator on Bellator hour, but yeah, it looked better. Like I wasn't expecting not a lot, but yeah, it looked great. I watched it on YouTube. Did you see that they actually they were like they edited the entrances so that the music copyright thing wouldn't pick up their entrances?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah, it'll be like I don't know. You ever see those highlight videos where like they cut like a few seconds in between like I don't know how to describe. I don't know what to describe, but I think that's what they did. I love how they gave nicknames to all the fighters as well. Oshima was never called Little Giant until
It's
this.
funny because
right?
my teacher, so like at our gym we have Haru Ochi fighting, and his nickname is the Little Giant, if I'm not mistaken. So
well, they came up with like weird nicknames for everybody. They had, like, yeah, none of the nicknames for anybody matched, but it's kind of funny.
I also have to give. I'm gonna give credit. I'm happy that the Black Combat people actually wore black. So let's just say if you're tuning in for the first time, it kind, they didn't have English graphics, but at least you could like, oh, okay, the Black Combat guys are wearing black. I think some of the Deep guys had Deep on their trunks. I think Yamamoto Seigo had Deep on his thing. No, I thought the 5 fights. I love the aesthetic as well. I loved that they had Godfather Black and Saiki sitting in like these throne like chairs next to each other and just like watching like intently. And like if Saiki's Nakamura lost, so Saiki looked pissed off and Godfather Black was happy. But then if like one of the Korean guys lost, Godfather Black, it was like something out of Game of Thrones where they're like, I'm gonna have my the Targaryens taking on the whoever people. And yeah, it was, I think I know you talked about it, CJ, the guy who created Godfather Black kind of wants to bring like entertainment to MMA as well. He kind of said something like along those lines.
He said in an interview that I think he studied in college in the US, and during that time period he got like really into Pride in the UFC, and he kind of wanted to like combine the entertainment value of Pride with kind of like the UFC always stressing like the ratings and everything. So for those who don't know, Black Combat does have like a very elaborate rating for the fighters, where like if you win by submission, you bump higher up in the ratings than if you won by a decision kind of thing. And so I think all the events are always 5 versus 5 with everyone being a different weight division. So it's kind of interesting. What do you think of the show, Anouk?
So I have only seen the Oshima fight so far, but I heard the results. So yeah, because the Oshima fight had like the intro to it as well. Yeah, just basically agree with what Andrew said. It's like show wise amazing.
I had a question.
CJ. Go ahead.
Did Nakamura get deducted a point every round because he missed weight, or was there something along that line? Because I saw notice whenever during Nakamura's fight, the referee did the thing where he did before the fight started 1 point. So did he miss weight or something? I'm not entirely sure.
Nakamura missed weight. He apologized profusely for it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was kind of weird.
Okay.
But onto the production value, they had the fighters fly out like a week before the fights, kind of like a UFC, like a big time show. And they were all training because Black Combat has their own gym. So they were all training there. And I think they were just filming like behind the scenes content the whole time and like training stuff. And they're doing like interviews. And then after the show, and it looked like after the show, they were like, the Black Combat had like, they must have like some food prep sponsor because they all were like given rehydration food kits and everything. But so it seemed like they're trying to kind of create this whole special appearance and special show. But yeah, during one of those videos, definitely Nakamura like got on his did his best Sakibara, apologizing for the flowers being thrown on the floor and apologized for missing weight. But yeah, I was really blown away by the production value. I'd never seen their show before. Yeah, and so WMMA scene now just commented. Yeah, so Oshima's opponent did retire after the fight. It sounds like
who retired?
Sadi Oshima's opponent.
Oh, she retired already.
It sounds
she looked good against her. I don't get it. Why? She
22
did pretty well against her.
She did pretty well. I think what happened was she alluded that she has like some family thing she has to take care of. So I think she might have to take care of like an ailing relative or something. That's just speculation. But I mean, when Oshima heard she retired, she was like crying a lot. You could see that in the post-fight interview. She was like really honored to be the last opponent and everything, and probably felt bad that she had retired at such a young age.
I want to also give a shout out to that audience, to the Korean audience there. You know, it looked like they all dressed up to go to the dance or to like an opera. Everybody there was dressed so nice. They had like the champagne bottles.
Right. Well, I'm glad you said that, because what this is, do you remember how much I used to love Landmark? Because Landmark was like this exclusive experience where it was like only 100 people will be here live at an undisclosed location. All of the tickets are $10,000 and you'll get like champagne and all this cool stuff. They kind of created this ritzy, like almost, to me, it reminded me of the movie Lionheart, like those like rich people fight club things that they talked about like in the 80s. But it was awesome. And now it's just become Trigger essentially. But it seems like this is kind of following that Landmark and breaking down making a spectacle of the event. And it's like, so if you come and get front row, you're going to get like the bottle service. You're going to get the crazy big seats. It's going to be awesome. And I thought it looked really cool.
And it's also good that Korea has, I mean, Road FC's kind of climbing back up a little bit. But nowhere near what it was. But listen, I put all my stock in Black Combat.
I mean, didn't the guy that fought Nakamura was like the former, and he is the Road Championship champion, isn't he? He's the Road FC champion.
But can you believe he tapped him out? Or like,
that's crazy, right?
Yes.
Well, even in the pre-fight hype, Sayaki was kind of funny about it because he would like point at Nakamura and Yamamoto and be like, I know they're gonna lose, but he was like, he wasn't that direct, but he's like, your opponent's for them, kind of not fair. Because
in fairness, though, that's what you get when you book Seigo to be the guy who's defending your promotion. I mean, he should have looked at his record and be like 6-10, 5-10, whatever it was.
I do think Seigo though played a large part in it getting brought together because he is from Korea. He's like half Korean, half Japanese. I think he was kind of like the in-between for the two promotions. But he did retire. He also retired afterwards.
Is that why they called him a little sexy Yama? Because he's half Korean, half Japanese? Because I was like, that's got to be the only thing. Because there's no way that he's like as good looking as a.
I know he's half Korean, half Japanese, but he's a Road FC guy as well. And he's also, I mean, he's Siwoo Park's boyfriend. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, that I didn't know.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the secret. He's always in her corner. So he's Siwoo Park's boyfriend. Because, I mean, she had to stay somewhere during the 2 years she was in Japan during the pandemic, I guess.
By the way, did you enjoy the heavyweight fight at least? The heavyweight main event?
Oh, my God. Akazawa is awful. And when I saw that he was the heavyweight, I'm like, if you're going to at least bring over like one of the more fun Megaton guys, like Andy Kong or something. Like,
no, please, no. Not Andy Kong.
No, but anybody. Whenever I write up about Akazawa, do you ever like go to his Topology page where they're still using the picture from when he was like 5 weight classes ago? And they always talk about how he trained at TriStar, but I don't think he's been at TriStar in a very, very long time. So it's kind of strange.
It's not like one of those things where like he went to TriStar for like a week. So now it's like, oh, you know, it's like that's like his gimmick now. Like, oh, he went to TriStar for a week.
Little known fact though, there is a TriStar location in Japan now, I believe.
Is it like Alpha Male has their thing in Japan as well?
Yeah, I think Marina Kumagai.
Yeah, I was gonna say
is one of the trainers there.
TriStars, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Akazawa must have some connection to Korea as well. Actually, now that you mention it, because he fought Andy Kong, didn't he, at one of the deep shows last year? And Akiyama came to watch his fight. So I wonder if he trains with Akiyama or something now. Speculation. Okay, so let's get into the Deep Jewels 40 card. And I do have some big news. I actually found Sarah's social media account. Not wants to be an idol, Sarah, but we're gonna. So the Sarah that's fighting Momoko Yoshikawa is half German, half Japanese.
German, okay, I see.
And she likes to post about food a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I found her.
Oh, so she's just like every other girl from Japan on her social media.
Yes, but so breaking story. It was. But is the other Sarah half Filipino?
Yeah.
Yes, it was half Japanese, half Filipino Sarah versus. I gotta find a better way to describe them. They really need a last name. Okay.
Well, doesn't one? So one does their name in Romanji, right? And the other does it in katakana, right?
I think they both go back and forth on that.
No, I think so. The German Sarah, she does like Sarah in katakana, as far as I've seen.
Okay.
And then other Sarah does SHRAH.
Well, here's how I remember them.
SHARAH.
Oh, sorry, SARAH.
Okay, because others
SARAH.
Because katakana Sarah does also spell SARAH.
I think we should separate them by saying Sarah that won versus Sarah that lost when it came down to Sarah versus Sarah, because I can at least go by, okay, I remember that one being the winner of that one, because then I could go back, oh yes, that's the one you interviewed, CJ. So I can,
Yeah.
that's how I can tell the difference between the two. And that's the one that's the Sarah, right, Anouk?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
for
no?
me, the Sarah I know is just Sarah-chan. So like, I just call her
Okay.
Sarah-chan.
So for the purpose of this, we'll just call her short hair Sarah, and then the other one will be Sarah Chan.
That works. That works.
She seems to always have short hair.
Sarah.
So short hair Sarah is facing Momoko Yoshikawa, who picked up her first amateur win in her last fight, and she's been pretty pumped about it. What do you think about this fight, Anouk?
I mean, how should I say this? I mean, I think Sarah's gonna win. I think the one who has the better skill is definitely Sarah. And yes, Momoka Yoshikawa, she won last fight, but to be honest, I don't think her opponent was that strong. And yeah, I don't know. I don't see Momoko Yoshikawa winning against Sarah. So, I mean, especially since Sarah has a background in kickboxing. And she has, like, Sarah already had a knockout win in her amateur career. So I think that's, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing it though. Because like maybe Momoko Yoshikawa trained a lot and has improved a lot, but the last fights I saw, based on that, I would say definitely Sarah's going to win.
I feel like Momoko Yoshikawa is in this like weird position where it's like she's been an amateur since like 2017. And it just makes me wonder, like, sponsors. And she has so many sponsors. She's like relatively popular, which I think we can all guess why.
Everyone thinks she's cute, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. Andrew, do you experience a lot of 6-year-long amateurs?
No, not at all. And that's why I was going to ask Anouk. I'm like, if you happen to know, what is is this a case of like where Saiki just say, okay, now I want you to go pro, or how is there? I know that she's lost almost all but one of her pro fights. Is that kind of thing where, like, if once you win, you can then go pro or something? Because it seems the rules seem different for everybody when it comes from going from amateur to pro and DJ.
Yeah. So as far as I know, there's no rules on this. To give a good example, Pochan Z, who is also fighting on this card. As far as I'm aware, she's had one amateur fight against what's her name?
Juicy.
Yeah, Juicy. Against Juicy. And she lost that fight. So she's had one loss in amateur, and then she went pro.
And fought Juicy again.
Yes, fought Juicy again. So basically, it really depends, because in her case, she's like a heavyweight class, which is very much in demand, I guess. So I guess that's why she went pro even after having only one loss in amateur. In general, so I think in general, it's like usually people win about at least 3 fights, let's say. So 3 fights, I think, is the common, like at least 3 wins, and then you go pro. But sometimes like a fighter might be really popular, or there might be like an opponent in pro that needs someone of that weight class, and they might so it's basically, if there's an offer for you in pro, you can go pro whenever you want. So
I was just thinking this as well. Is the reason why also maybe Momika is not going pros because, like you said, she's a pretty face. Does she want to have would she rather fight in rules that are less dangerous and detrimental to her health, perhaps? Is that
I don't think that's what it is.
Well?
I don't think that's what it is, because I mean, Deep Jewels referees, depending on the fighter, can stop fights pretty early sometimes. So I don't think you have to worry about taking too much damage unless you're like really in the 3-round fights. But I would think it's kind of to answer your question, I think it's more of like based on the fighter on a case by case. I imagine Deep Jewels does ask certain fighters to turn pro, but most of the time I imagine it's the coach and the fighter's own decision whether they go pro or not. And part of me thinks Do you think because she lost so many amateur fights, she's kind of like, once I start winning some amateur fights, then I'll turn pro because I don't want to have a negative pro record? But then, yeah, I just don't know. She also pops up on my social media like in the weirdest places. I saw she's been hanging out with like Valentina Shevchenko like daily, it looks like,
Yeah.
according to her Instagram.
Yeah, because she's okay, so this is a story I know. I don't know how much detail I'm supposed to go into, so I'm not gonna tell anything because I'm not sure if I'm saying stuff that I shouldn't. But like,
All
so
the
my
tell all the
friend,
details, all the
she's
details. No.
she's a friend. She's a friend of Taylan as well. So like,
Okay.
and so because Taylan is Valentina's training partner, she's helping out because she speaks English as well. Apparently, Momoka does. So she's helping them out, like leading them around like the sumo stables and stuff like that whenever Taylan can't do that.
Well, that makes sense because I've seen her with her. Then I also saw her, like, I think guiding, like, was it Johnny Case around?
I've seen that picture though. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't know about Johnny Case though, but yeah.
well, maybe she's just one of the fighters they use because she speaks English and she can help guide people around because there's not that many fighters that speak English. Interesting. But yeah, so I just thought it was funny because she's been popping up all over the place on my social media recently. And she is really popular. Like, considering she's an amateur fighter, she has like 6,000 followers on Instagram,
I think
which
even
is
more though.
more than most people that are in Deep Jewels. And
That's more than some Bellator fighters.
Jay Wolf is crying somewhere. But yeah, and her, she's covered in sponsors when she fights. So
It's crazy. Yeah.
they clearly don't care if she wins because I think she's 1-5 as an amateur. But
I think she lost 6 times and then she won
okay.
once or something like that. Yeah, definitely.
Because I honestly feel like also sometimes Deep waits for the right opportunities for fighters to turn pro. Because I remember they had Edu Takabayashi, who's fighting this card, turned pro for her Rising debut because it's just, we want you to go fight in Rising, so this will be your pro fight. And then I don't think there's really any thought process to it because Machi lost her last amateur fight and then went pro anyway. So I think it's just based off the fighter.
It's
but all right,
really
so
about the timing. So
well, I will yeah. I think Sarah, I'm gonna agree with Anouk a little bit. Sarah, before her amateur MMA career, was doing amateur kickboxing bouts in Deep Jewels, which makes me think that she must come from a striking background. And when I see her on social media, she's training with good fighters, which makes me think she's getting some quality training done, and she's just going to get better and better. And I mean, Momoka's been doing it for 7 years now, and really hasn't shown that much improvement. So I kind of feel like short hair Sarah is going to get this one. What about you, Andrew?
Oh, it's a tough one. 2-2 versus 1-6. Jesus.
the sarcasm.
Oh, well, why not? We got to have what's Sarah get a win, and we could eventually have Sarah versus Sarah as a pro fight. You know,
yeah, please.
They should make, if they do that fight, it should really be like, what are those old WWF like pink slip loser leaves town matches?
Yes,
but
the loser has to
change their name.
Yes,
or has to include their last name from now on.
Yes, exactly. I absolutely 100% agree with that. Yeah, and they have to change their social media as well because I whatever if it has Sarah in it as well.
I will say in closing, it is kind of interesting because Deep Jewels does like to put the amateur fights kind of in the beginning of these shows, but I feel like Momoko is probably more popular than like the first half of this card. So it's a good lead-in fight to get people to sit down.
The few Deep Jewels amateurs fights that I've watched, including yours, Nuke, I've watched yours, are actually, so I see quite a few amateur stuff here in the New York metropolitan area. And there are some awful people that I don't know where they find some of these people that think that they should be doing amateur, any sort of like, I'll say this, Deep Jewels is actually like, it's at a competent level for a lot of the fighters. even someone like Sarah or Momoko, it's at least entertaining to watch. At the worst, at the best, it is like, okay, I could see that person is going to be like a future like Deep Jewels pro regular, compared to like a lot of amateur stuff here that's in at least in the New York area.
I would agree. I think one of Deep Jewel's strengths is, even if they don't have the best fighters in all of their fights, they are good at making entertaining fights.
Yes.
And making fights to kind of get the fans engaged. I think this show is pretty much sold out. I think all that's left are a couple of like the no reservation, like free range sit if there's an open seats kind of. All right, on to the next fight. We have Mana versus Boss. I really don't have a lot to say about this, but do you have any thoughts on it, Anouk?
I don't. I know Mana's been an amateur. I don't know if she made her pro debut already.
She did, I believe. I think she's 0-1.
Yeah, because I get really confused because a lot of people made their pro debut recently.
Mm-hmm.
Mana, I don't remember much of her, so I guess that means that it didn't impress me in particular. Like, it couldn't have been bad either. But I kind of liked how Suzuki Boss Haruka put on like a show. Like in her last fight, she was like really doing her own thing and being like, like to the camera. So I don't know. She was really just like in her own world, and I kind of like that. So I'm like, she was entertaining to watch. So I don't know. I just see a lot of, I don't know. I guess she just enjoys doing it, and I like seeing that. So I think maybe that's why I would favor her. I think maybe she's gonna win this one, but I don't know enough about Mana to say anything.
All that I really know about Mana is that she went down and trained with Ren Nakai in the past.
Oh, okay.
So, which makes me think possible judo background. But because Ren will always tweet out about Mana when she has a fight coming up. So I think they have been training partners in the past. And Boss, to me, I know I always root for someone from Niigata. I used to live in Niigata Prefecture, and she's one of Chibi-Sai's training partners. She's more of like would you describe her as kind of like a boxer? It seems like she likes to strike from range. She's like this like real long, almost like karate style stance, it looks like almost, and seems kind of like a striker. But yeah, I mean, they've both just recently appeared kind of on the Deep Jewels radar, so not a lot to talk about with that one. But in the next fight, her training partner Chibi-Sai is taking on Koyuki. James, what are your thoughts on Chibi? Not James, Andrew. What are your thoughts on Chibi-Sai?
Isn't she the shortest fighter ever in the history of Deep Jewels?
And deep.
And deep. Okay.
I've met her. She is truly, truly tiny.
Okay, you're like 6'3", right? You're like 6'3" or 6'2"?
Me? No, like that? I'm 6 feet tall.
Okay.
I'm not like Jay Wolf. Jay Wolf is a giant man.
So was she like up to your kneecap or something? Is it like she that short?
I honestly think her head was like a little above my belt. Like, it was probably the smallest person I've ever met.
I'll say that, I did watch her. I did see the last Deep Jewel show she was on. I guess, I guess this is going to sound like a really dumb, childish comparison, but I'm going to do it anyway. She's kind of like a Chihuahua. You know how Chihuahuas are just, they're the smallest dogs, but they got the loudest bark and sometimes the most deadliest bite. She kind of looked like that, had that kind of energy in her last fight. I didn't see her previous fights, or I don't really have that much memory. I see she faced Aya Murakami, so probably no doubt she was outclassed in every sort of way in that fight. But nonetheless, listen, I'm rooting for the small girl. I'm rooting for Chibi-Sai. I hope she could come 2 and 3. I don't know that much. I don't know anything about her opponent. What's her name again?
Koyuki. Don't pick who you think's going to win, and don't pick your favorite yet, because Koyuki she falls into a favorite stereotype of yours. She is a tattooed fighter from Osaka which we know is your weak spot.
True, but they are not fighting Osaka, so she unfortunately her stamina resolve will not be enhanced. It will not be a passive ability if this were an RPG term. So yeah, unfortunately, no, it will not work for her. This was deep Osaka, like the deep impact Osaka, whatever. Then yes, she would clearly win, but unfortunately, nope. They're in Chibi side territory for this one.
I did see that Koyuki was training with Moedi Suda ahead of this fight. I kind of think this circle, that's a Japanese term. I think this like training group has kind of developed in Osaka, where a lot of the girls down there, like Aoi Kuriyama, Moedi Suda, Arisa Matsuda, and like Koyuki, all kind of get together to train. And so kind of creating their own, because I mean, I'm sure it's hard to find sparring partners for some of the girls down there. So it seems like they're all, because Moedi Suda's father has their own gym. So it seems like they go there to train sometimes. So we'll see if that rubs off on her at all. But Chibi Sai's coming off her first win. And what do you think about the fight, Anouk?
No thoughts in particular. I know Chibi Sai had her first win recently, so let's see if she can keep that streak going.
My wife likes Chibi Sai.
Yeah, I know you're reading, and because your wife likes her, you like her, right?
Yeah, I have to. Well, because Chibi Sai's got this weird thing going from her where I think people think she's cute. She's like considered attractive by Japanese standards. She has no MMA background at all. So it's kind of like fun to root for this underdog that's trying to this new thing. And because she's from Niigata, and Niigata is super boring, she always appears like in the newspapers in Niigata when she has a fight coming up. So she has a lot of support from her local area, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd just like to see her do well. She also, if you go to like a Deep Jewels show, she's always like, that she's not fighting on, she's always there like working the counter or something. Which makes me think, like, are you traveling all the way from Niigata to do these shows? That's like a 2
Where
to
is
3
Niigata
hour,
exactly?
it's like a 2-hour Shinkansen ride outside of Tokyo. It's far away.
Is it what is it? Not is it not Kansai? What's the other one?
No, it's not. It's the opposite. It's opposite direction.
Okay.
It's like it's far. It's like I would describe it as northwest of Tokyo.
Yeah, it's not Tohoku yet.
No,
It's not part of Tohoku. What's it
So-
called? Is it
Chugoku? Is that it?
No.
Chugoku region? No. Okay.
Chugoku is
I get it.
like left of Kansai.
are you like
Oh,
trying?
okay.
Are you thinking of Choshu? Are you like going like Meiji history on us?
Yes, I am. CJ.
Well, I used to live on.
Actually,
I used to live on Sadogashima, which is like an island off of Niigata. That's technically part of Niigata Prefecture. So
a question about her name. I know that Chibi means small in Japanese. The Sai, though, is that because she trains at Sai Gym?
I believe so.
Okay. That kind of makes sense. Okay. I could sleep better at night now knowing that.
Yeah, she fought at Shuto before. She did like her amateur career at Shuto before she came over to Deep Jewels, I believe.
I got a comment on her Tapology picture. Those gloves look bigger than her entire body if you go to her Tapology page.
No, she's very
Those,
small.
like, do you think who was the kickboxer that's also very small? What was her name again? Oh god, the one who fought in that, remember she had that one fight in Rizin?
I'm gonna need more. You mean Momoka?
Was it Momoka? Yeah, I think it was Momoka. How
The one that
was
fought
Momoka?
Panchan Rina?
Yes.
No,
Was it Momoka?
she fought twice in Rising, sir. How dare you?
Oh, she did. Oh, okay. Because
No.
women's kickboxing now is Rizin's strong suits.
Yeah, no, she's definitely taller.
Okay.
There's another girl on this card that's like 4'9", who I think is
that
still...
the other
No, it's not her.
microweight?
It's the Akari. I think her name's Akari. But yeah, we can move on. So
She looks tiny.
only talk about that. Next up, everyone's favorite Pochan Zed is facing
Yes.
Mayumi Aoki.
Yes.
See some passion from you, Nick. Tell us about Pochan and your thoughts on the fight.
What, who, me?
Yeah,
Oh, no, I like Pochan Zed. I don't know why. I don't know. I just feel so like I see she's trying so hard every fight, like she's not the best fighter, but she's literally you can see her giving it all. And then when she loses, she's like so devastated. And like I just want to see her win, like I just want to see her hard work pay off.
I had to laugh when I saw who they're putting her up against because I pulled up Miami's record. It's like her last fight was in 2019, and that was just one fight. Her last fight before that was in 2012, which
Oh
just
my
makes
God.
me think that they're like, we got to get Pochan Zed a win. We got to find someone that she can beat because I think her opponent's like 43 years old, is what it looks like. So I
But
know
it's like Megatron.
Pochan Zed's not young either. I don't know how old she is, but she looks like she's probably in her late 30s, early
I
40s,
think she's
maybe.
late 30s. I think she's either late 20s or early 30s.
Really? I thought she was so much older.
No, I don't think so. I know she
But
works last time, like she said she worked at a bento shop, though.
no, she worked. It's a kind of relatively famous bento shop that's it's one of those places that has no staff out front. And they have like a YouTube channel where they stream the inside of their shop 24/7.
Oh,
And so you can just come in. It's like the honor system. You just like put your money in a box and take whichever bento you want.
I see. What I thought was interesting about this fight is that it's a megaton fight. And last time I think Pochan Zed has been fighting at, I think she fought at lightweight, then she went down to featherweight, if I'm not mistaken, and now she's at megaton weight. So I'm like, is she really gonna put on all that weight, or is her opponent just gonna be much, much heavier than her? Or is the opponent also not that heavy? Like I'm really wondering.
Maybe it's just a case where the opponent hasn't fought in so long. They're just like, just to get the fight on, let's not put a weight limit on it or something. I don't see Pochan Z like gaining all the weight back because it seemed like she was trying hard to get into fight shape. She'd been losing a lot of weight since she started fighting, so I don't think she's gonna put it back on.
Yeah, would be a shame, right? Because it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of Pochan Zed, who has, as you already mentioned, she fought Juicy twice. Juicy's also fighting on the card against Tia. I think Juicy's coming off a rough loss. Looked like their last fight, looks like her arm might have been injured as well. I think she lost with like a armbar or a Kimura lock, if I remember correctly.
She fought against TA, right? Last fight.
No, she didn't. She fought oh my
Fought the pancreas fighter, right? Was it the fighter with some pancreas, I think? No.
Oh wait, she fought King Reina, no?
No, I don't think so. It's like that it's not Kumagai. It's the girl that's a judo background who has really short hair.
Yurina Horiguchi.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yurina.
She like recently cut her hair. She has like a judo background and just practically ripped Juicy's arm off almost immediately. And yeah, it was definitely like too high caliber of an opponent for Juicy.
Can you say that this fight will be T versus Juicy? T versus Juicy? Get it?
Yep, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just make sure.
No, but what do you think about this fight? I just feel like Tia's got to be the favorite going into this fight. What do you think about it, Andrew?
Man, this fight's gonna be yeah. Jim Ross would always say this in wrestling. Whenever it would be two awful wrestlers going up against each other, he said it's going to be bull and shoe ugly. This fight's going to probably be bull and shoe ugly. T should win, but isn't she just bigger? Am I?
Well, I think she's also been losing weight. And
are they all doing the King Reina thing where they're like 180 pounds and they're trying to get down to like bantamweight or whatever it is?
no, because they're actually going to be able to do what they say they do. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think Juicy's like, to her credit, she seems very tough. She seems like she's like a fighter, if that makes any sense. But
also
Tia's
listen,
in way better shape, is a former soldier, and I think is probably just gonna beat her up, to be honest.
also to be an MMA fighter and call yourself juicy. You know that. I mean, good on ya. Good on ya for that.
At least it's an original nickname.
Yeah. Also, I just realized there's a big height difference between these two: 5'5" and 4'11".
Tia's a big lady. Tia's very tall
Uh,
for her division.
I mean, like I think on paper, yeah, T has to win. It's just it makes total sense. Though, listen, with what happened this past deep show, I'm all for a juicy win if the universe needs to declare that.
You really are like the Joker. You just want to see the world burn, don't you?
Well, listen. It's not my fault that Daichi Abe loses to a 13 and 12 and 13 fighter. That ain't my fault. You know, it makes things interesting. You know, it makes things interesting. You know, for the next shows, in my opinion.
You and Babalo Jack are very much in the same boat of like, let's make it interesting. Let's see if Bellator wins all 5 fights, and it ended up happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or J-Wolf. That's what J-Wolf wanted, I think.
I think it's impressive that Juicy, I think I mentioned this last time, but like Juicy in her, I think one of her last fights, she said kind of jokingly, like, I'm glad I won. Thank you very much for your support. And next time I want to fight Kate Lotus, so I'm thinking of dropping my weight down and fighting her next. She kind of said like with a kind of smirk. So I was like, oh, that's funny because she's like a lightweight, you know. And then she actually fought at featherweight, I think. And then now she's a bantamweight. She's like, she was actually serious. I'm like, oh, lots of respect for that.
If she gets down to atom weight, that'll be absolutely hilarious.
I mean, height-wise, it would totally be her. That would probably more be a fitting division for her. And like, I'm also like, to be honest, I mean, I think TA should win, but like, I think, like, judging from her last fights, I think Juicy is kind of just like, just gonna go in without. I think TA is much more, you know, calculating and controlled, and Juicy just has that. I'm gonna get you, you know, like just gonna go in and go for it. So we might be surprised there if she kind of, you know, it might be hard to fight someone like Juicy because she's just doing whatever.
Tia's got to be happy to not be faced. I mean, she got thrown to the wolves. Didn't Tia face King Reina and Rin Nakai?
And Rin Nakai and Kuriyama, right? It's just for all the tough
Kuma, Kuma guys though.
So this must be I don't want to say almost like a nice, more appropriate opponent level for her, considering she just made her pro debut and also isn't coming from an MMA background. But it's got to be nice to not be facing King Reina or Rin Nakai. So yeah, but I think Tia should win, but Juicy might surprise us. I don't see it.
I want to see her broom punches. Remember that?
Tia's just so much taller than her. I think Juicy's gonna have a hard time getting in, if that makes any sense.
I just can't wait to see it.
I drew a line on my card to let me know that after this fight is when I think the real fights are happening.
Oh,
excuse me?
Do tell us.
No, there's like a distinct, like, after this fight is when there's like a distinct step up in skill level.
There's less zeros.
Yeah, it's like more of the main card, if that makes sense. And the next fight is Edu Takabayashi, who is a very exciting striker, who's still only 19 years old. And she's facing Hitomi Taniyama, who is coming off her pro debut, which was a rear naked choke win over Mana in the first round. I looked at it. She used to train at Brave, but she trains at Paraistra right now in Chiba with Kana Asakura. And it looks like she's been kind of training with Shevchenko as well recently.
Yep, because
right now. Yeah. So, and across from her is Takabayashi, who started out her career exciting 2-0, but has kind of fallen on some hard times and has now lost a couple in a row. But they were against better competition. And Edu's weakness, in my opinion, has always been her grappling. It looks like it's getting better, but not fast enough. What do you think about this fight, Andrew?
Well, sorry. The Oyama, the Kilos fight was actually pretty close, if I remember correctly.
Split decision.
And I think I'm trying to remember. I might have actually had Takabayashi maybe winning that if I remember if memory serves me right. But I think you were there. You probably have better memory of it than me, CJ, right?
It was kind of a strange fight where I think Kate Lotus, if I remember correctly, just kind of took her down, but didn't really do that much when she took her down. And Eda looked better defensively, but it's kind of hard to stop the image of Kate Lotus being on top of you for most of the fight.
Well, this fight it all comes down to what Hitomi Taniyama brings, and I'm going to ask you that, CJ. What does she bring? What's her background, if you happen to know?
1-0, it's hard to tell. I mean, it looks like she's got some grappling chops. She's training at a quality gym. She's training over at Paresto, which is a very good gym. And if I had to stereotype, that gym, I would say
Tapology says Brave Gym.
It's no longer Brave. She started out at Brave. Tapology's gyms are never right. So she started out at Brave, but she switched to Parestra.
I'm actually surprised that you go from. I would probably think staying at Brave would be a better gym than Parestra.
I don't know, because maybe she left because I don't think any other women really train at Brave, and maybe she needed female sparring partners.
Let's see. Didn't Reina train at Brave for a bit?
She does train at Brave, but it's not her main gym. She goes there and trains. Probably working on wrestling.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
But now that you mentioned that she trained at Brave, which is known for its wrestling, and Parestra, which also tends to have a bunch of wrestlers, if I had to guess, I would say Taniyama, and her win was a rear naked choke. I would say she's a grappler of some kind. So that kind of isn't good for Edu, who seems to have struggled with grapplers in the past.
No, it's not. I mean, and don't forget, remember her first fight, she lost against Sakura, also a grappler. So
I believe Sakura missed weight, so that was a no contest.
But, my bad as well.
Doesn't count, Andrew.
Yes. So it's clearly, I think there's a blueprint, unless Takabayashi worked on those holes in her game, and that's grappling. And she's facing somebody who was at Brave, that was at Parestra. So I think, it's looking like that's losing streak's going to continue for Takabayashi, unless she goes the Volkanovski route. She focuses on takedown defense, learning how to get up, learning how to, to balance correctly on one leg if necessary. Yeah, unless she's not learning that stuff, then this is another fight that she's going to lose. I fear.
I will put it in context. I know she has lost her last 3 fights, but just looking over the names, Edo Takabayashi's lost to good fighters. I mean, at the time, we didn't realize that Moetti Suda had just completely flipped a switch and become a really good fighter all of a sudden. But in hindsight, the losses don't look as bad when you see who they're against. But what do you think about the fight, Anouk?
I think I agree with what you said. So the fight she's been losing mostly recently, but that's because she's been put against very strong opponents. And I also think that in the Kate Lotus fight, because I remember I thought going into that fight that Kate would really obviously overpower her, but the difference was not so big to my surprise. And in my opinion, that was because Eda Takabayashi's grappling defense, or the way she moved on the ground, was better than I expected. Still, obviously not good enough to win, but it's improved more than I expected. So if I kind of extrapolate that line to now, I mean, I can't see why she would not win against someone who just made her pro debut, even if they, have a very good solid background. So I think Eda Takabayashi is, judging from her last fight, I think she's on a good streak, and if she manages to keep that up, then I think she should not have no problem winning this fight.
Yeah, I hope she does well, because I feel like when you watch a lot of women's MMA in Japan, most of the girls tend to come from judo or wrestling backgrounds. So it is kind of fun to see this explosive striker who's really aggressive. And if she could just get some takedown defense, I mean, she could be like a Chuck Liddell or a Crow Cop style fighter. That'd be just really fun to watch, and I think really exciting for the division.
On that note, I think it's I guess kind of, I would say, a shame because I remember in her, I think her amateur fights, she would just like have these like, how do you say it, like these explosions of like striking. And it was really cool. I think ever since she went pro, she's been kind of more like calm, like measuring the distance, which I guess is a good thing for her skill. But like I kind of, I don't know, I kind of miss seeing her, seeing fighters just like
Oh,
go
yeah.
in.
Well, her one pro fight against Ottawa was like what you're
Oh,
describing.
yeah.
So she's really exciting when they put her up against strikers. It's just most fighters in deep duels tend to be grapplers.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense because against a grappler, you probably wouldn't like rush in
Yeah,
with your striking. Yeah, I just hope to see that again because
me too.
she's really good at that.
It was a lot of fun to watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Then the next fight, speaking of brawlers, we have Momoko Yamazaki versus Akari Kamise, who I just mentioned is 4'9". So she is also very tiny, but Momoko is also under 5 feet. And let me think. Yeah. So I think Momoko was kind of famous because she fought in the Outsiders, and she kind of used to be like a Yankee. And I think she was actually in some like local newspapers and publications when she like stopped a robbery at like a convenience store, but got like punched in the face and it broke her orbital bone or something. But so sounds like a feisty lady inside the ring and outside of the ring. But yeah, she always tends, but she has a bunch of fans when I go to the shows because she always sells shirts. There's a bunch of people with her shirts in the crowd, and it looks like she's a popular fighter. I really don't know that much about Akari Kamise, to be honest.
Me
Looks like
neither.
she's coming off of 2 first-round finishes in 2020, and this is her pro debut. So,
Those 2 round finishes she won?
yep, they're both first-round finishes as an amateur. It looks like she made her amateur debut back in 2017.
Okay.
So another one of those lengthy amateur careers, but this is her pro debut. I don't have a lot to add for this fight because pro debut. I mean, Momoko's a popular fighter. She's tough. Her fight with Chivisai was pretty fun to watch. I think she's coming off of a loss to Mizuki Furuse, who, I mean, say what you will about Mizuki Furuse, she has like technical skills, where Momoko is clearly just kind of like a stereotypical outsider brawler like fighter. So yeah, but moving on from that, in the next fight we have Hikaru Aono versus Kate Lotus. What do you think about this fight, Andrew?
Well, this
I'm
this
sorry,
fight
I
will
mean
be
Hikaru Watanabe.
yeah. She's married now. She's no longer single, CJ. So gotta let the people know.
Hey, Shuto Watanabe is a great fighter. I wish them nothing but the best.
Well, yeah, unless they're into thruples. I don't know if that's a thing in Japan, but that's a thing. That's a big thing now in New York, is being in a thruple.
What's a thruple? Is that when you have like an open thing?
It's when 2 people who are married or in a relationship are also in a one of the 2 of them are in a relationship with a third person, but not like married.
Are you?
It's where everybody.
Are you telling us that you're in a thruple right now?
I am not in a thruple. I am not. I am not. Definitely not in a thruple. But it is a. But that. But you know, whatever. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. So yeah, this fight. Is this So Kate Lotus, she went from flyweight to now atomweight. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this will be the fight that actually tells us if Kate Lotus is actually no longer just a pretty face, as they say. Because I think for a while that she was kind of just more of a personality, it seemed like. But with the win over Eru, and now this fight, if she does beat Hikaru Watanabe, then it's clearly like, okay, it's no longer. This is no longer like some sort of like weekend warrior princess thing for her. She seemingly will be like, okay, she's actually like a legit pro fighter now, who's just not there to sell t-shirts and, you know, get followers on Instagram or whatever. I mean, my gut would say Hikaru, but I don't know. how is she gonna, she just coming off a marriage, getting married. Her husband just got knocked out. I don't know. It's not doing too well for the Watanabes. It seems like. I think did she lose her last fight as well?
Last two. Lost
yeah.
her last two fights.
And wasn't one to Aya
Moe
Murakami?
Suda and Saudi Oshima.
Oshima, okay. Oshima, that's not unexpected. Suda, that's a fight that I would have thought that maybe Anouk could have won. But
she was stupid in that fight. If you watch that fight, Suda went for honestly 15 armbar attempts. And I don't know, just never seemed to realize maybe I shouldn't be leaving my arm out here.
Well, I mean,
and then she finally got caught in armbar.
Isn't Suda's nickname the armbar princess or the armbar queen or something? She has isn't that her nickname or her something? I mean, she's always doing arm bars.
I don't know if that's her nickname, but I mean, it means very well earned. She does love going for arm bars.
But you know what? I'm putting all my stock in Kate Lotus, and I think if she wins this, I am hoping we'll finally get to see Kate Lotus in Rizin and Atomweight, because God, do we need some Atomweight bodies in there at this point?
Well, I think. Yeah, Kate Lotus is definitely improving with each fight, especially since she moved from Kobe up to Tokyo and has been training with Seika Izawa and them pretty much full time now. And
is she a K-Plan?
Yeah, she's over there. Yeah, they might call her free, but she trains there. And I think she definitely Deep always likes to have the pretty face for the posters and everything. And she definitely does fill that void. She has lots of fans, and but she has been training very hard. Her last win over Edu Takabayashi was pretty impressive, just because Edu is a pretty good fighter. Hikaru's in this weird position where she's a really high-level wrestler, but she really hasn't developed into a full-skilled MMA fighter. But she leans so much on her wrestling that she's
that's
not
kind
really
of the same problem with her
striker.
husband.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same. It's kind of they're made for each other almost. They basically they're good at one thing, both of them. But the problem is that they sacrificed, and that's fine. I'm all for that, because I think when you're kind of a little bit good at everything, it's kind of boring. I don't know if that makes any sense, but the problem is that they don't adapt to the but also, her grappling, it's okay. It's still not the best for her division, though. Probably Suda, Murakami, certainly Oshima.
Is that she has submitted people in the past, but she's still primarily a wrestler. And so she doesn't really have the ability to finish people when she takes them down, which can be her problem. And Kate Lotus is going to have to be much bigger than her. I feel going into this fight, just height-wise, because Hikaru is pretty small, and just strength-wise, I imagine Kate Lotus is going to be stronger as well. And so this could be a very exhausting fight for Hikaru if she has to keep trying to take Kate Lotus down, especially if Kate Lotus doesn't want to go to the ground. But
also, it's a post-marriage thing. Is that fighters either start to really go downhill or they go up after they get a kid or they get married. It's a weird thing. I think it was Donald Cerrone.
She and him have been together for so long that I feel
them
getting married doesn't change anything. They were living together already.
But when marriage is a different, how I like to say, C-level Kane, or elevated whoever.
Motivated BJ Penn.
Maybe it's tie the knot Watanabe at this point. So, but it does change some fighters. Some fighters change their style. Some fighters become less. They lose that spark. Donald Cerrone said that when he had his son or something, that's when he became a better fighter or something. If you remember that, right after the Conor loss, I think he said something along those lines. It does change. Who's Kuramoto? Kuramoto got married or had a kid recently, I think, right?
Yes.
I believe he had, yeah. And he said that he changed his fighting style after that. If I
I would
remember,
have thought it was from every time he won or lost, his wife just berating how poorly he performed.
but what's I don't, yeah. This
It might be
is,
onto something because I do think she and her husband she and Shuto recently opened a gym. And I
oh
think
my
they're
God.
both
So
working there.
Yeah, because both of
They-
their gyms names have changed because there used to be like Striple or something.
I think they still
Strapple?
train at Strapple, and they still
Now
train
they're Fight
there.
Links.
And they
Both
also
of them.
train a lot with Fighters Flow with like Ueda and Watanabe Kana. And I saw that she was also training with Miura Ayaka ahead of this fight. But yeah, they
Mhm.
started their own gym, which between starting your own gym and getting married, starting to wonder like if they had a lot of distractions going into this fight, like how much she was actually
Also,
focusing on this
Shudo
fight.
losing. Shudo
Yeah.
just lost his fight, got knocked out.
And then on the other side of the aisle, you have Kate Lotus, who all she's doing is training at K Clan every day. And she seems to be training very hard. So it's kind of like motivated Kate Lotus versus possibly distracted Hikaru.
And that's the other thing. Kayla's, I'm pretty sure, is training in MMA. She's doing everything. She's going the full circle. Hikaru Ono, I'm pretty sure, is not training enough in striking, not training enough in grappling defense.
Are you
maybe
saying
grappling.
Watanabe Kana is not going to be a good striking coach for her?
No,
Mhm.
absolutely not.
Mhm.
Sorry, this is going to be Kay Lotus. I think I'll even go as far. I think that Kay Lotus will finish. I don't know. I don't think she'll submit her, but I think I'm gonna say she'll knock her out in the second round. That's how confident I am in Kay Lotus.
I also think Kate Lotus is somewhat surprisingly better at grappling than you would think. I know that she lost to Mika Nagano, but she does seem to be a pretty good grappler considering she has no background in it.
Whenever I look at Kate Lotus grappling, I'm always like, just looking at the moves, I'm like, she does have a lot of skill. Just somehow she makes bad decisions during every fight up to now. This is my opinion, but like, I can see the skill, I can see the potentials there, and she's very skilled in my opinion. But like somehow she like chooses to do something like, why'd you do that? And now you like screwed everything up. Whereas, I think if it's just a tiny adjustment that would make her from like losing or maybe winning to like maybe going, to that next level.
I will kind of also switch on myself and say Hikaru Ano did lose to Saudi Oshima in the atomweight finals, but that fight was nuts. I mean, they grappled nonstop for the entire fight, and it just literally came down to stamina because Saudi Oshima is just a monster. But when Hikaru Ano is on, she is a very good grappler, and I think I don't know what happened in the Moedi Soda fight and why she didn't realize that all Moedi Soda does is throw up arm bars. But yeah, I think she is a very good grappler. That Saudi Oshima fight was really exciting. I saw that in person. And she smashed Nisei. I think she submitted Nisei in like under a minute. And so let's just hope that that's the Hikaru that shows up. Because the one point I did want to make before we sign off, Hikaru's been kind of relatively inactive. She hasn't fought since this will be a year almost.
I wanted to comment on that also because I remember like I think one of her last fights, she was crying when she lost. And she was like, and I've been having fight after fight and I haven't had time to do my own practice. And now she hasn't fought for like a long time. So like she must have had that time that she was basically, asking for. So I'm really excited to see if that's actually, worked for her because she's been asking for this time. Now she's got it.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's got to show that, she wanted this. And if she still can't get the wins, then, it's going to be a bit disappointing. So, but I think Kate Lotus is going to be a tough opponent for her because, I agree with you that her wrestling is amazing. So if they're going to be doing wrestling, then she's going to do great for sure. But I think Kate Lotus is going to, I think her punches are hard. So she's going to punch hard and I think she's got the skill to keep her at distance. So I slightly favor Kate Lotus going into this fight. But
plus Kate Lotus fought 3 times last year, so she was way more active.
Yeah,
so
I'm just really excited to see how Almanoza has improved over her, more or less 1 year break.
Yes, I will say, I just don't think. I will say the one thing she has going for her is I don't think Kate Lotus has like the grappling skills to finish Hikaru on the ground. I think if she wins by a finish, it'll be like a TKO kind of situation.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the fight that I know you're looking forward to, Anouk, and that is Hime versus Machi. You're a big Hime fan, so tell us what you think of the fight.
Hime will win, obviously. No.
I mean, you picked against Machi in her last fight too, so
I did what?
You picked against Machi in her last fight as well.
Oh, against you mean like
against Arami?
I thought Arami was going to win. You mean?
Speaking of which, I think Arami had like neck surgery recently, so let's.
Oh my gosh!
Hope she has a speedy recovery.
Yeah. No, I'm Machi is. I think it's. I don't know. I'm. Some part
too
of me
much
is
too
saying,
soon.
like, is it? Yeah, that's kind of like. Isn't it too soon? Like this is it's going to be your second fight in pro, right?
Her second pro fight.
And then she's like basically fighting pretty much the top fighter in the weight class, I would say, after the champion. But I mean, she has skill and she's been growing exponentially. So I'm, Machi might surprise us, but I think experience-wise, Hime's got it, and I'm assuming she's working hard as well. I don't know. I think I haven't seen Hime fight in a little while, so like I'm excited to see how she's been improving, because I just want to. I have expectations that Hime is going to be the one who's going to be dethroning Izawa Seika one day. But like, I don't know. I'm just really excited. I just hope Hime is going to win.
I will say that before her pro debut and her last amateur fight, Machi lost, and her opponent essentially beat her because she was taller and was a striker.
Who was that opponent again?
Defensive striking. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name.
I'm gonna.
But I will say that Machi was clearly the more skilled MMA fighter, but she just had a really hard time dealing with the height of her opponent. And Hime is taller. She thinks Hime is like 5'5" or something. Hime is going to be taller than Machi. She is a defensive striker who has really good power in her strikes. So it might be a problem for Machi. But going into this fight, I know that Machi has good training partners. She trains with Mina Kurobe, like Amy Fujino, Vivi May. And I saw that she was taking private striking lessons from Mizuki. So it looks like she's preparing for the bout and trying to improve her striking, because Machi is clearly a grappler. If you watch her fights, I mean, it's just submission attempt after submission attempt after scrambles and scrambles. Her fight with Arami, I thought, was really exciting. What do you think about this fight, Andrew?
When it comes to grappling, I always like to say this, that there's this between a good grappler and a bad grappler. A good grappler is able to submit people. But if you're going for 1,000 submissions and none of them are hidden, I don't know. That's usually not a good sign. That's always been my belief. Like, especially like after watching Islam versus Volk yesterday, the fact that Islam couldn't even submit Volk, despite having like him in precarious positions numerous times. But this fight, I think this fight, I don't know if I'll go as far as to say that she'll be the one to dethrone Seika, like Anouk said, but I think Hime is maybe one of the what's the opposite of overlooked? Underappreciated fighters that is and Joshi, JMMA, Atom Weight MMA, whatever you want to call it, right now.
She's mentioned. I mean, her last performance was
she knocked out that
knockout
girl
over Yuko Kigo.
That was the only finish I think on that card, if I remember correctly, right? Every other fight.
It.
Yeah. Especially because you always think like, oh, atom weights don't have power, and all that stuff. It's Hime is somebody that should, I think should win this fight. Like, is everything like, I don't see what Machi can do. That would.
I will say, to Machi's advantage, the only times Hime has struggled have been against grapplers. And the Saudi Ashima fight was weird because Saudi Ashima did this like crazy thing and just ran right at her. But later in the fight, when she did get her to the ground, she was able to kind of put Hime in some bad situations. And her only loss to Miki Matono just pretty much dominated Hime for the entire fight. And I think she almost finished her with an armbar, but the bell rang in the first round.
Mhm.
But so she kind of adapted to that and kind of has like this defensive where she makes you come to her if you're a grappler. And yeah, I kind of feel like I'm gonna agree with you guys and say that it seems a little too soon for Machi. I think Machi's great. I think she has a lot of potential. I think she was one of the best prospects from last year. My favorite prospects from last year were her and Arisa. I mean, that's the fight I really want to see. If it was Arisa Matsuda versus Hime, that's the kind of, because Arisa Matsuda looks like a monster. But Machi's also she's kind of also like styled herself. She looks a little bit like Itsuki Hirata, if that makes sense. She has like the
Yes,
bleached
totally,
blonde hair and the similar fashion sense.
totally, yeah. And like the short sleeve rash guard,
I think it might even be the same brand.
Yeah.
She's definitely got some inspiration from there.
I think when I just try to envision this fight, I'm like, Machi is gonna go, kabe rest with her, like cage wrestle with her, for sure, I think. But I think Hime has shown that she's been really working and improving on her takedown defense, especially in the Mikimoto no fight, etc. So I think if she'll be successful, she'll be able to keep her off her. But once they go to the cage, I think Machi is stronger than we might think. So, she might have trouble or might get taken down a few times, but I do think Hime does have the skill to get it back up, or at least that's what I'm hoping. And then she can hit some strikes because she obviously has a range advantage.
Yeah, Machi's just got to be careful on how she goes in for the takedown, because Hime, as she showed in the Saudi Shima fight, is going to be waiting just to jack you right as you come in.
Yeah.
And looks like she has some pretty good power.
Do you think if Hime wins? Sorry, Nuke. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go.
I was just gonna say, do you think if Hime wins, Rizin's gotta be next for her, CJ? I'm surprised that Rizin hasn't even scooped her up like previously.
I hate to say it. I think the reason she hasn't been scooped up is Rizin kind of has like a type of fighter they like. And that would be like young and pretty face to put on a poster kind of person, where Hime is like in her mid-30s and has like short blue hair. But,
you mentioned that last time, but couldn't she be like the new Hamasaki? What do you think? I mean, she matches her style. Kind of
no,
like
I think
woman.
if she wins this fight, she has a pretty good case to go up there, especially because I mean, Rising needs blood for the atomweight division. It's such like a blow. Their atomweight division is just. I mean, Kana Asakura looks like she's on the verge of retiring all the time. And
it went from being their best division to like maybe their legit driest within the span of a year.
Well, they just need to tap into more of this talent and bring them up. Tell you what, I hope they don't bring her up too soon, because I do want to see her fight Arisa Matsuda. For some reason, that fight just screams to me that it'd be awesome. But no, I think, but if she wins, especially if it's another devastating knockout, the one thing she has going for her is she's not an AACC fighter, so that she doesn't have to worry about like fighting her own teammates or anything, because there's so many AACC fighters in Rising right now. So I mean, they could bring her up, they could do the rematch with Saudi, or they could just kind of throw her to Seikezawa, because Seikezawa has to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Kind of like how they got Seika and threw her at Ayaka. I mean, kind of a similar situation. I think a lot of it's political. I think a lot of it comes down to like, if Deep Jewels like you and they want to promote you, then they'll put you up. Because I think Rising just asked Deep Jewels to send them fighters. I don't think they go to the fighters themselves. So yeah, I'd love to see it. And in the main event, we have Rin Nakai versus Aori Kuriyama. So Andrew, does this fight last longer than a minute?
A New York minute? Are we talking? Or are we talking like regular time minutes?
Regular time.
Oh. Fuck. Huh.
You got to think, right? Rin is obsessed with getting in the UFC. And you got to think
Oh
that
my
she
God.
you got to think
Really?
that she
Is
wants
she?
to put on a good show. She wants to like show why she should be in the UFC. So I think she's going to go for a quick finish.
I mean, I think the bigger question is how Kuriyama could win even. That's what I'm trying to figure out. You would there's almost no blueprint I think of how Rin can be beaten. She's great at grappling. Her judo is great. Her striking, she's got power behind her striking. I don't know what
See,
I don't know.
the problem that Aoi Kuriyama has is that she's like a brawler, right? I mean, besides the
She's a
fact that,
brawler, but she's been grappling lately in all of her fights. Have you noticed that?
well, I don't think
She's been,
that's not by her choice. I mean, didn't she spend her entire last fight in a guillotine attempt or something?
yeah.
Yeah.
What was the fight that she had against the date person? Which day was this? I
Nori
forgot.
Pravdra.
Nori, yeah. Sorry, not in dating. What did I say? Nori, yeah. That fight was basically almost a grappling fight. And then the one before
the second one was the first fight was. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong fight. I'm thinking of Nori versus Miko Nirvana. No, her fight with Nori was like kind of a striking fight where she dropped Nori 3 times in the first round.
Oh yes, that's the one. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's one that went to a draw that should not have gone to a draw.
Yeah, via Pancrase draw, where it's like, how do you get dropped 3 times in one round, and the judges call that 10-9. Whatever.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm back. Okay. Now I got back to her things. Yes, the Fujita and T fight were both. Those are grappling fests. I remember. I definitely remember those being with Kuriyama being.
Well, she has been training with Moedi Suda in them, so I think she's trying to break the smoker's gym stereotype, and she's trying to learn to grapple.
This is like Yachi training with Aoki going up against Satoshi, and it's like, I'm sorry, but you can't learn all that. You can't get it. This is not impossible to prepare. You can have 90 years, and I still think that Satoshi would beat Yachi 10 out of 10 times. I think Rin Nakai beats Kuriyama 10 out of 10 times. Even if Kuriyama had all the money in the world, all the time in the world, trained at TriStar or whatever, I don't see what. Yeah, I think this. Does it end in a minute? I think it will end in a minute, CJ. I don't know, but by submission or KO, I think it could be either or. That's how
true.
Strong and great ring is.
Rin does have a lot of like GMP TKOs in her record.
Yes.
I would say. So in the Fujita fight, Rin Nakai looked hittable. She kind of moves kind of like awkwardly and stiff when she's striking.
Oh, she's always used that to. Yeah. Sorry,
and she's also notoriously a slow starter. I think she's kind of. I mean, even the Fujita fight, she took to like the second or third round. I think.
I thought like that was by choice. Like, I don't know.
She said that afterwards.
Consciously playing around, just like.
She said that afterwards. She wanted to get. It was like a practice session for her or something.
So my image is basically that this fight is going to end like super early if she wants it to. Like if Rin decides like I want to end this in the first round, it's definitely going to end in the first round. But maybe it's not.
It just comes down to. I mean, I think she's going to want to make a statement because I think what happened was she signed to her new management, and they were like, to get in the UFC, you're going to have to put on some impressive performances. And so I think she's going to try to knock her out or submit her in the first round. I would almost imagine it'd be just a ground and pound TKO like situation. But Aoi's only chance is to knock her out coming in. And has Aoi Koyama ever knocked anybody out?
I don't think she has, even though she's a brawler or technically a brawler.
Because I mean, she rocked Nori a bunch of times, but she never knocked her out. Look, no, she's never finished anybody. Yeah, so I'm going with Rin Nakai. If you've never finished someone, I don't think your first finish is going to be against Rin. So and Rin, I think, has been training outside of Shikoku. I saw that she was training at AACC for a couple of weeks. And then she also has been training at some other places. So looks like she's taking it very serious. And I think this has motivated Rin. But then again, it's also Rin. She's kind of, anything crazy could happen, but I just don't see a world where Rin doesn't win this fight.
What will she wear at the weigh-ins? That's my question. What do you think she's gonna wear?
Will Deep broadcast the weigh-ins? I
Yes.
think last time she weighed in, they messed up and they didn't even air.
So if she wins this, do you think she'll go on to USC next?
No.
She signed with Iridium, though. She somehow got signed there. I don't know how. I never thought that she would be on their radar, but hey, she got signed to Iridium.
Ray Tsudaya hasn't made his UFC debut yet either. He's there too.
Oh, but he will be I guess if he wins his next fight, then he'll definitely be in UFC.
Because he's a pancreas champion now. So I mean,
yeah,
he's doing well. And he's young. He's exactly what the UFC wants. Whereas I mean, Rin is I think she's turned 36 this year.
Yeah, she's already in her late 30s.
But also, but CJ, if everybody watched your thing with the latest Shu Harato, let's talk GMA. Was it you who said that apparently she insulted or her husband insulted UFC management?
Well, I mean, she talked about. So if you look it up, there's nothing official. It's all alleged. But what is it? Wasn't the feeling that Sean Shelby didn't like them because if you look at it, there's a big gap between her fights in the UFC where the allegation is that she just rejected every fight offer they gave her and that they were difficult to deal with, and that the allegation was he actually tried to cut her before her second fight or something. So, but as Shu pointed out, he's not in charge of those fights anymore. It's someone else. And his advice was that if she really wanted to fight for the UFC, she should get her visa and try to be ready for any last minute replacement that they need. I honestly thought she should have been in the PFL because they just announced that flyweight tournament. And looking at the field, I'm like, I feel like Rinnikai could easily win this. And if you win that, you get $1 million. And yeah.
Also, let's be honest, even though Bellator is not run by the brainiest of people, the fight of Conor Watanabe could be a fight that should have been made.
That should have been the fight at Rizin versus Bellator.
Yeah.
They should have had Watanabe Kana represent Bellator and Rinnikai represent Rizin.
So yeah. I don't know
if she goes to PFL, wins $1 million, she could buy Bellator and make the fight happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, aren't they for sale? Isn't that the rumor on the streets?
Yeah, if they haven't been bought out already.
Bought and sold for scrap.
Bought for an NFT or crypto.
I feel like to get back in the UFC, she's going to need to be competing more, and she's just not competing enough. I mean, she fought 3 times last year, but that was essentially 2 of those fights for the tournament, and then she didn't fight for the rest of the year.
I don't know if you saw this, but Will Brooks apparently now on I think it's Contender Series. Is it Contender Series or Ultimate Fighter? One of them. No, wait, I'm an idiot. It's a Contender. No, Ultimate Fighter. So apparently, Ultimate Fighter for the next season. This is a Connor Chandler. Apparently, they're going to be getting older people that used to be in UFC or older fighters. That's what I heard. And Will Brooks tried to get in, but they already selected them. So maybe. I don't know. Here's the thing about Ring Nakai. She lost all of her UFC fights. She looked like shit in all of them. I mean, so I'm sorry that's to be cruel to say that, but she honestly did. Her social media game has been really awful. Has her husband / manager, whatever, is total dictator. What is UFC's motivation to want to rehire her? I mean, Kevin Lee got re-signed, so I guess anything is possible, but at least Kevin Lee I'm sure that Kevin Lee can bring something that Ring Nakai can't. And flyweights already, the women's flyweight division is basically the Valentina division at this point. No one's going to defeat her. Ring Nakai is great, but there's no way she defeats Valentina at all.
Well, in Ring's defense, those UFC fights were at bantamweight, and she looked absolutely tiny.
Oh yes, I forgot they were at bantamweight. I forgot.
Because she fought Misha Tate, looked like a giant against her. And was it Leslie Smith?
The Phantom up kick.
I love that gif. But yeah, no. But I mean, she was massively. I also think the UFC only signed her because they did the Japan show and they wanted her to be a part of it. And so they had her come on.
I also think that the overall flyweight talent in UFC is probably is also just like would give Ring Nakai a run for her money. Most of them, at least. I think Alexa Grasso would beat Ring Nakai.
I don't know. Alexa Grasso is so hit or miss. She like wins fights. She loses fights she should win all the time.
Talia Santos, I think, could easily beat Ring Nakai. Andrade would walk through Ring Nakai. I personally believe. So
I think Ring Nakai has the same problem that Kana Watanabe does, and it's just that their striking defense looks really, really bad.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is in Japan, there's no one to punish her for that, and it's not going to be Ao Kuriyama that punishes her for it. Yeah. Like if she fought like Irene Aldana or someone like that, I mean that'd be bad.
I don't see what does UFC get out of rehiring or giving Ring Nakai another chance. It's really they rarely ever do that. They rarely ever do that just in general.
They're usually not interested in fighters that are like in their late 30s because it's just a poor return on their investment.
Well, here's the thing.
Also, there's no way that there's like a UFC Japan show in the future.
No,
so
not at all.
That kind of also like lowers the incentive. I think.
The only if Ring comes cheap, that might be also the other way because that is what UFC is doing now. They are hiring a lot of these foreign international fighters who to them 12-12, 15-15 is a lot of money because you probably don't make that much in Thailand. Whatever Loma Wilkinby was.
The one championship model.
The one champ, yeah. So that if she signs with Iridium and Iridium shortchanges her, which I would not be surprised, if that's how you have to get a client on, that's what you got to do to get a client on, then that is maybe the way she can maybe get on right now. And yeah, UFC Japan show, which will never happen.
I think the best way for her to get on would honestly to pay herself and get that visa and just essentially.
That visa's a lot of money though.
That's a lot of money. It's like $6,000.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm saying like this is if you really want to be in the UFC and this is how obsessed you are with it, get a visa and set something up so that you can go train somewhere in the States and just be there when they need a last minute replacement. That's how Mizuki got in. Mizuki was like a last minute replacement for a flyweight fight in China, and the girl still missed weight. So I think was it Mizuki's like debut at bantamweight in the UFC essentially.
But also, the other thing is, I don't know what the Ring Nakai probably does not know any English. Where's she from again? She's from like the Sticks or whatever. So she doesn't have that. Shikoku. Mizuki didn't have the best English, but probably has better English than her. Also has Shu Harata behind her as well.
She speaks pretty good English now.
Yeah, it's also then you have to find housing, you have to find where to live, you gotta find the right place. So the only, ideally the place you want to live is maybe Vegas. That's where UFC did.
Ideally, in the situation, she would just tell her management what she wanted to do, and they would help set it up. I mean, they're based out of Vegas, so they got to have some sort of situation where they can help her find like a dorm to live in or something.
Listen, she was complaining about Ubers. About Uber on social media. Apparently, that's what, right?
Yeah. She complained a lot. I don't think she did a lot of research before she went to the U.S. Apparently.
Also, if her whole social media game has been kind of just really screwed up And if anybody in UFC if anybody's keeping tabs on her, I'd be like, I don't want to just hire her based on what she's doing, what she's putting out there on social media. It's very like, I don't know. It's cringy, sad, and depressing all at the same time. Her begging almost to get into UFC at this point. I don't know what the UFC represents to her, but yeah, that's, they always say on UFC, the way to get a bonus is to never say, give me a bonus after your fight.
Well, didn't Conor McGregor start that all with the 50 G's, baby, whatever he said?
He might have, but I've always heard that if Dana White doesn't give bonuses to people who say, I need a bonus after their fight. That's what I've heard. So maybe the same thing is if you say anything about wanting to go to UFC. If you say, I desperately need to go to UFC or I'll kill myself and game myself, excuse me. They won't hire you.
Well, if I was her, I would just go to Bellator. I mean, Bellator's flyweight division is so shallow. I feel like she could go there and easily become champion.
Plus do the the Watanabe fights.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think, but let's not forget, she also fired her last agency. So maybe will be interesting to see how long her relationship
if she fires
lasts.
Iridium. If she fires Iridium, then she's basically fucked up all of her chances. There's no way. There will be no other agency. There'll be no other manager that will hire her if she gets rid of Iridium. That's one of the top ones in the United States. If you fire them, they're going to tell whoever it is. I think the guy's name is Jason who runs Iridium.
He's going to tell,
he's going to tell everybody else. He's going to tell Ali. He's going to tell Shu doesn't need to know, but
you think Ali's interested?
No. But the word will get around that, like, okay,
can you
don't hire Ring.
Ali signed her, and next thing you know, she's like doing photo ops in Chechnya. Or if
that happens, my God, like there is not then everybody has a chance at this point. If Ali actually signs her.
So, Anouk, what are your thoughts? I know you're new to Rinnekai. What are your thoughts on Rinnekai?
I don't know. Just my impression from hearsay is that she's pretty annoying to deal with. As a fighter, I think she's very strong. But I mean, she wants to go to UFC. I think as a character,
she has fought for them before.
Yeah. But like, I think she's just trying to get back.
Mm-hmm.
As a character, I think she would be interesting because she has like muscular bodybuilder kind of, but still cutesy kind of vibe to her, which I think maybe might be unique or interesting to people watching the UFC. Level wise, I don't know, because I just think she's gonna be too short, isn't she, for flyweight? She's gonna have trouble just like dealing with the striking, because I think UFC in particular has great striking more than grappling, I guess.
Well, I mean, she fought against Misha Tate and Leslie Smith, who both dropped. Isn't Misha Tate a flyweight now, or didn't she drop down to flyweight for a fight?
I don't know.
So I mean, it's like the same size people. Like people that she was fighting at bantamweight are now fighting at flyweight. So it's not that big of a difference. I think, she had a real hard time fighting them. Well,
yeah. No, but like she's, I don't know. Regarding this fight, I just like, I agree with Andrew. Like, I don't see how she's not going to win this.
If I was her, I would almost try to fight as much as I can, get back on the rising stage, start kicking butt and rising, and then you're going to get offers. I know that she got offers a couple of years ago from KSW, and I think I heard she might have gotten an offer from PFL, but I don't know if that's confirmed or not. But I mean, if she just starts winning and gets her face out there, she'll get offers. And I mean, she's a good fighter. I'd love to see her fight, and love to see her get her fight abroad. If she made it to the UFC, it'd be awesome.
But she said she only wants to fight in UFC, Charlie. She said she'll kill herself if she doesn't go to UFC.
Yeah, that was a weird comment. So, Well, on that note, Deep Jewels 40 goes down this Saturday at the Shinjuku Face, which always makes me happy because that means it'll be in a ring, not a cage. And as everyone knows, I like my Japanese MMA in the ring. So I'm excited for that. It's actually, yeah, should be a good show. I'm excited. So Andrew, what's the fight you're looking forward to the most on the whole card?
Ironically or unironically?
Both. Give me start with
Okay.
the unironic one.
Unironic. Sorry, let me get back to the thing just so I can make it. I offhand, I'll say I was about to say Hikaru Ono, Hikaru Watanabe versus Kay Lotus. Because because this to me will be it'll tell us where these two fighters stand. If Watanabe loses, then I don't know. It might be fair to say that she is definitely on a decline, and maybe retirement maybe sooner rather than later. And if Kate wins, this is definitely she. With her output from last year, you said she fought 3 times and a win over Hikaru Ono. Sorry, Watanabe. Then she definitely wants to be more than just this like little personality that's on Deep Jewels posters. She definitely wants to be a serious MMA fighter, and it takes I'm pretty sure she could still make money, lots of views on her on her fights, which I think are probably whenever she fights, they're always the most viewed, or at least on the show, besides the main event, and sell lots of merchandise and all that stuff. So, but it takes for her to take that next step to say, I want to do this seriously. Listen, you got to admire that, especially when she could just be clout chasing, being a pretty face.
What's your ironic favorite fight?
Oh man, I almost want to say T versus Juicy, but man, Poach and C versus Super Benkai is like it's a fight that's I am perplexed.
Hey, I don't know.
I don't know.
Forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it because I have no idea what to expect, and
Yes.
that's kind of good. Like Ring Nakai going to destroy Kuriyama. I think Chibisai going to destroy Koyuki because it's not Osaka. I think Juicy will be one side, but Pochan Z and Mayumi is going to be it's going to be like I have to see, like, the fight can be boring as all hell, but I think it'll still be, there's going to be something really entertaining about this fight. I think we're going to get, this is going to be like Bob Sapp, Osuna Rashi level, I feel like.
I love that fight so much. That fight was so fun. Okay, Anouk, what fight are you looking forward to the most?
I think you're expecting me to say Hime, which is one of the is my top 3 I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Hime and Machi, but I can't really envision so much what's going to happen. So like maybe that's why it's not my top. Second one I'm looking forward to is definitely Pochan Z fight, because also, like, just like Andrew said, like, I don't know what to expect. This is definitely going to be entertaining. I think the one I'm actually most excited about, like, to see how it's going to happen is like the amateur fight, I guess, between Sarah and Yoshikawa.
Excuse me, you mean short hair Sarah?
Yeah, short hair Sarah. I'm just interested to see that happen. I don't know, maybe it's because it's my division, right? Like
yeah, so if I had to, I guess the fight I'm most curious about, I don't know if it's most interesting, but I'm most curious about the Hime Machi fight, because it's like typical Japanese matchmaking where they just like shove someone that shows promise right to the limelight, and it's like sink or swim. And so if Machi wins, that's huge. That launches her to the top of the division.
Yep.
But if Hime can get another dominant knockout, rising possibly in the future, they need people. So that'd be awesome. And so I like the implications of that fight. So it adds a lot of weight, which makes me interested in it. But I'm most excited for it.
To be honest, I think actually, like, if Machi wins this fight, I think actually Rizin might be interested in having Machi.
Oh, they'd love that. That picture, they'd find some picture of her in her high school uniform. God,
Please.
why do they
No,
always do that?
I
They
think
love having high school fighters.
But I think like what you said, like maybe more kind of in like, because she kind of has some similarities to Itsuki Hirata. So maybe they want to kind of have her in that.
She's like, if Itsuki Hirata knew how to make weight, her name would be Machi.
Do you think if Pochan Z wins, do you think she'll go on to Rizin next?
No.
Someone's got to fight Kinraina on the big stage.
Yeah, no, someone's got to fight Gabby. Gabby's returned to MMA. I don't know if you heard.
Is Japanese MMA even interested in Gabby? Remember that time she did that awkward apology at shootboxing?
I'm all for Gabby coming back to MMA. You need some of that freak show, interest. Listen, it can't be all Full Metal Dojo at this point. Listen, we need Rizin to kind of at least have a little bit of that. And Pochan Z versus Gabby Garcia would be a great way to welcome it back.
She's not Rizin level, is she?
Who?
There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of people there.
Gabby's not a good MMA fighter either. So I mean, it could be good.
Okay. I mean, for entertainment, maybe, yes.
Yes.
Skill wise, I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's the show. And thanks for tuning in. Let us know in the comments what fights you're looking forward to. But Andrew, where can they see all your stuff?
Let's see. We Are Rizin Podcast on YouTube. We Are Rizin Pod on Twitter. Let's see. Spotify. Audio versions are on Spotify, Stitcher. Let's see. Also write for MMA Sucker. So yeah, that's basically it. Nothing really going on with Rizin now, but I have some ideas for some things to do during this Rizin lull. So there'll be some stuff popping up in the future.
You're just going into full-on Bellator coverage?
I did say I wasn't going to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I said we had some ideas, but I would not bottom of the barrel ideas. But no, more fun stuff, more interesting and fun stuff than Bellator.
Good. And Anouk, where can we follow you?
Me, I'm mostly on Instagram at Firefox, PHAIAFOX. And I think my Twitter is linked to that. So probably if you search that, you'll find my Twitter. So
perfect. And you can check out my articles on sogo-kaku.com. I'm going to release some stuff this week for the upcoming Deep Jewel show. Got a nice little article about Rin Nakai. And yeah, should be fun. And if you want to order the Deep Jewels 40 show, you should order it in advance because it's 500 yen cheaper if you order it not the day of the event. And I think Saudi Oshima's doing the commentary, so that should be fun.
Ooh, nice.
Is the website, I call it Spawn.
Yeah, it's like the Spawn website.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I always check because Deep Jewels sells the gloves of the fighters on Spawn. And that's Rin Nakai and it was Rin Nakai and Kate Lotus's gloves sold out almost immediately.
Sure.
So a nice little popularity.
Pochan Z's didn't? Pochan Z's gloves did not? Really?
I am happy to inform you, Andrew, that you could be the lucky owner of those. They are still up for sale.
Well, knowing the Japanese website, probably I can't because it won't accept my credit card. So I'm already shit out of luck, probably.
Knowing the Japanese website, they probably take your money, but then inform you they couldn't ship it to you and then not give you a refund.
Yeah, I would have to put a random hotel address, pick them up at, and then and then the Westin Hotel will be like, why the fuck are these? Why do we have MMA gloves?
Anouk, has anyone ever bought your gloves from one of those things?
No, I don't think they did that.
They just didn't tell you because they didn't sell.
Have they been doing that for years or something?
They've been doing it for a while, yeah.
Really? But I haven't fought in a while either. So it's been about a year and a half.
If your fight's on Spawn, you can go look and they still have the record of whose gloves sold or not.
God.
Wait, so they sell the gloves? I'm curious to know, do they sell the gear? That's the question.
Just the gloves.
Okay.
Because there's no gear.
Well, I mean,
a lot of the fighters wear the same gear for all their fights. They don't
I'm going to tell you, do you listen? Kate Lotus could make a killing if she sold her worn gear after her fights.
No,
I'm not. That's not even like a
no,
joke. Yeah.
no, nobody wants that.
No, you be listen, if someone's willing to buy, the people buy some of the weirdest shits.
Well, she would make good money because Ren Nakai sells her stuff after her fights. I think she even sold like that crazy orange outfit she wore for the Rising weigh-in. Yeah,
oh yes, I remember
she
that,
sells her stuff for like thousands of dollars. So I think she
Oh my
does
God.
make pretty good money. And I think Sugiyama sold her stuff, but that was just to raise money for the new gym that they opened. But that's really uncommon. Japanese, it's not really a thing in Japan to sell like fight worn shorts or shirts like the UFC does.
Like the
You'd be-
YouTubers that do giveaways.
Yes.
These are
The way you
fun.
get those, Andrew, is you tell everyone you're dying of cancer, and then you start a Twitter page and you harass the fighters until they give you the stuff for free. And then they find out that you don't have cancer and that you were lying the whole time. But that's just the story of Rising Daisuke for those that aren't familiar. Yeah, cool. We will talk to everyone later. Peace.